Xtalks is the industry leader in connecting life science, food, healthcare, and medical device professionals. The Xtalks Life Science Podcast features insightful conversations with industry experts about all things pharma, biotech, and more.
Hello and welcome to the Xtalks Life Science Podcast. My name is Ayesha Rashid, Senior Life Science Journalist at Xtalks.com, and this week I am so happy, delighted to introduce a very special guest on our show. We have with us today Dr. Stella Sarraf, who is the CEO, founder, director at Spinogenix, which is a company developing first-in-class therapeutics that restore synapses, offering the potential to reverse cognitive and motor declines in conditions such as ALS, Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, and other neurological disorders. Dr. Sarraf founded Spinogenix in 2016 to focus on developing novel neuroregenerative therapeutics. She has a blend of large pharmaceutical operational expertise, venture investment experience, as well as entrepreneurship. She's regarded as a visionary with deep expertise in guiding products from concept to commercialization. In 2013, Dr. Sarraf founded Amydis, which is a privately held clinical stage company developing ocular tracers for digital detection of neurodegenerative diseases. And earlier in her career, she worked as a senior research chemist at Merck and then spent a decade in venture capital at Foresite Capital and Prospect Venture Partners. Dr. Sarraf has a PhD in organic chemistry from Columbia University and a BA in biochemistry and molecular biology from the University of California, Berkeley. To learn more about the work Dr. Sarraf is leading at Spinogenix, let's turn to her now. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Ayesha.
It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. Really, it's so exciting to always learn more about founder journeys and how you come about to do the work that you do as the founder and CEO of really happening biotech, and just being in the biotech space and with all of the changes and all of the innovations happening. So really excited to speak with you. So Dr. Sarraf, I'd like to learn more about what inspired you to start Spinogenix after such an illustrious career spanning venture capital to large pharma, small biotech. And so what really led you to start Spinogenix, and what gap in neuroscience were you aiming to fill?
Ultimately, why did I, start Spinogenix? It was personal. The gap, again, it was because I saw an unmet need, and that related to when I found out my father had Parkinson's. And initially, it was about, but I took him to the neurologist, and I learned from the neurologist who said, ultimately, if we find out earlier, maybe there's things that we can do with the approved therapy. So that really set me on the path of, you know, exploring more in neurology. I knew a lot in many fields. And so that started me on my first company, Amydis, which is focused on trying to detect patients earlier. Because I looked at the healthcare system, by the time you get to the neurologist, it's just too late. How is it my mom felt a lump, went to, her OBGYN, and we got 13 extra years? Like, you have to be able to understand and get to that physician. And ultimately, we just didn't have, we still, we're working towards that, because all you see changes in your eyesight early on. You have a relationship with the eye care specialist. And so we were focused on the eye. And the back of your eye, your retina, is an actual, they say, your eyes are a window to the soul. All these things is because the back of your eye is retinal tissue, which is actually an accessible part of your central nervous system. And as I got started on that journey, and we got results in an Alzheimer's model and like neurodegenerative diseases, if you will, in an NIH funded study, and I was talking to raise money to continue that work. People said they didn't want to know because there was nothing you could do about it. And so here you had this, this perplexing problem, because if you don't know, then you can't start the treatments. And so that really planted the seeds. And three years later, I started Spinogenix. And with Spinogenix, my goal was it was thinking outside the box. If you look at all of these neurodegenerative diseases, really, what is at the core? And the core for me, it just really made sense, is the synapse. Synapses are just fundamental as you're born, you have synapses, and then as you age, your synapses get affected. So we have normal aging and synapses being affected as such. But then you have some disease pathologies that come in, and based on those, you see a lot of different changes in different symptoms, motor, memory, respiratory. And so we kind of set out with, small molecules, which is what I like to focus on as a chemist. And we've really come a very long way. And by working at the synaptic level, it also provides us ways to understand how the drug is working in humans. Again, with neurodegenerative diseases, other gaps is um, trying to prove that your drug is doing what it's supposed to be doing and get it onto the market with regulatory and just like endpoints and other things that are just I would say we're still working to build that. Just for you to know, I think with regards to Alzheimer's, only two new drugs have launched since 2003. With regards to Fragile X, which is one of the other conditions, there are no therapies. With regards to ALS, we only have one disease modifying therapy that was recently approved, and that's only addresses 2% of the population that has that genotype. So we can do more. We're trying to do, we're what Spinogenix is doing. I think we are the only company that's working on a synaptic regenerative and a synaptic corrective approach to a whole bunch of these diseases.
That's so wonderful to hear really that journey and really addressing the core fundamentals of the disease biology, which I think is really where the field is at right now by when we talk about biotech and innovations, really disease modifying therapies. So that's really fantastic to hear that. And so if we talk about Spinogenix, you did mention that a couple of things that set the company apart. And so what are the core missions and goals? Are you focused solely on the range of diseases that you mentioned, ALS, Alzheimer's, or are you also looking to branch out, so to say, no pun intended, but into other related diseases, and also neurology, of course, is a huge field. And so, what really is the focus right now at Spinogenix, and what may be the goals in a couple of years?
Yeah, so we actually on our website have all the various synaptopathies, which is what we call them, a range of diseases. I mentioned a couple that we targeted, and we were what led us to choose ultimately with SPG 302, which is our synaptic regenerative therapy for ALS, Alzheimer's, and schizophrenia. Again, ALS. Unmet need, every single day counts, orphan indication. And we're working really hard to move that forward. And then Alzheimer's, again, synapses are so well established, huge unmet need, as I mentioned. And I have yet to meet someone, Aisha, that is not affected by a neurodegenerative disease. Let that be Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS. Everyone has had a loved one. So and as I mentioned, I've also shared in that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry to hear about your father, and
He ended
yeah.
up losing his battle to oncology again. So oncology and neurology, but having said that, against neurology is where neurology was decades ago, right? So we really need to do more, and so we are focused on these three indications, and then schizophrenia. Again, synapses are very well understood. So we kind of have these three diseases that span neurodegenerative and psychiatric conditions, but there are many other diseases. Obviously, top of my list would be Parkinson's. We also, frontal temporal dementia has a lot of overlap between ALS and Alzheimer's. There's a lot of indications for us, even at now going into the psychiatric depression. We know this is one of the things that really excites me about Spinogenix, and my team knows this very well, is that we are drugging known biology. So, having been on the venture side and evaluated companies, here, this is what makes this very unique is that ultimately mm, the fundamentals is understood. We're coming in, the novelty is we've created this small molecule that's, I'd love to say, very well behaved. We have a lot of preclinical talks. We actually have human results now with regards to safety. And so this small molecule is able to in essence, pass the blood-brain barrier, be exposed to the CNS, and get this job done. And I think that is just, wonderful. But again, a lot of other indications for us to pursue. We're growing organically. We're doing a lot for a small company. And we also have the SBG 601, which is a BK channel allosteric modulator for Fragile X, and again, small molecule. And you could do more after Fragile X. That mechanism has broader applications. But for me, it's really, we don't want to leave patients behind. We like to go after the harder indications like orphan indications. And we're very grateful that we also have the support of the FDA. We have gotten orphan disease designation. The FDA recognizes that, more needs to be done in these rare diseases. And also with Fragile X, we've gotten fast track designation. This allows us the opportunity to continue to converse with the regulatory authorities, share our results, which we're very excited about, and ultimately get to the patients as fast as possible. And that's another thing that really drives me, having personally been affected. And I can tell you, everyone in my company has had a loved one that's been affected. And that's why we work around the clock. We say, I like to say we're unapologetic and tirelessly pushing every one of our collaborators to kind of feel our passion and just the urgency of trying to get to patients and leaving no patients behind. Also, most recently, we announced that the FDA has authorized us to do with a compassionate use. It's called an expanded access program to treat 200 people in the United States with SPG 302 for ALS. That to me, I can tell you, it was just such a wonderful day.
Wow. Congratulations. That's definitely a huge milestone. And absolutely. I think that passion, it really shows and really comes out when you speak about really keeping the patient. I think I was just having another conversation with another leader in the field and in another field, but we were talking about patient centricity, and really she was saying, it begins and ends with the patient, and I really feel that comes out when you're speaking about all of the work that you're leading, because it's all about the patient at the end of the day, and that really, really shows through your work and your approach. Absolutely. So also in terms of the biology, so when we're talking about synapses and restoring synapses and regeneration, that's it seems like a no-brainer. Again, I'm using way too many puns today, I feel, but not intended. But what really, because I think in the field there have been different approaches in terms of for Alzheimer's, obviously targeting specific biomarkers. If we're talking about tangles or the main proteins that are involved, but in terms of really going after not just the biochemical or the protein level, you're really going for the biophysical here in terms of restoring synaptic connections. And so what is Spinogenix approach to that? What kind of a platform is driving that kind of innovation and allowing for those insights and the in terms of insights into the biology, and then translating that into drug discovery?
Yeah, that's a great question. As you shared, there are a lot of different approaches, and we need to tackle these diseases with multiple it's multiple therapies and cocktail therapies at the end of the day. Spinogenix is the first to be working at the synaptic regenerative zip code, if you will, with our small molecules. And working at that level, I think, which is exactly what's so exciting, is because the synapses are in the brain, we can actually use other neurophysiological ways to see activity like EEG and TMS. These are quantitative patients. We can actually scan them before dose, after dose. This was very important to me, kind of being a quantitative chemist, if you will. So so many things when I was in the VC world, we'd invest in and it doesn't translate. So how do I bridge that gap in understanding that, and ultimately from animals to humans, how do you de-risk this? How do you know if it's working? And so by taking advantage of these kind of uh, these um, these biomarkers, if you will, using EEG as such, it provides us the opportunity to understand whether we have that dose, is it working, and then can we correlate that with approvable endpoints, functional endpoints that have been approved or explored by others. This is different than a lot of the others, and you talk about Alzheimer's, so like the monoclonal antibodies that just got approved and other approaches, those mainly slow disease progression. And there's other diseases where you minimize symptoms. our hope is to really change the conversation. We are giving hope for improvement, for regenerating. So these synapses that ultimately, let's say, because of disease pathology, stop becoming functional. And then we give them the ability to kind of restore that connection and regain function. Wow. That's like, wow. And so ultimately, we showed that many times in animal models. So, again, big idea. How do we do it? We were very fortunate, and we've published in an Alzheimer's animal model. We actually have a video, and we, by the way, we collaborate with a lot of external people. So that's another way we de-risk it. So our NIH supported Alzheimer's study. We worked with Frank LaFurla, who actually created the triple transgenic mouse for Alzheimer's. We also did a study with Justin Achita in a TAR4 ALS model. And we have a video of the mouse treated and not treated. It's an ALS1 presentation from a couple of years ago. My chief science officer did. You literally can see the mouse that didn't get the drug versus the one that did, and you can see it's unbelievable to see this in an animal. But again, animals are animals. And then we've published a lot of other, I would say the animal models gave us the conviction that, wow, this is super interesting, exciting, and doing something that we haven't explored with other approaches. But having said that, one of the reasons I love SVG 302 and our modality is that it's a small molecule once a day, and it can be used in combination with other therapies to come. So we really want patients. I want doctors. We talk about precision medicine. I say that one Alzheimer's patient is not like the other. One ALS patient is not like the other. I call it heterogeneous, right? And so, really, our goal at Spinogenix is to provide a new opportunity for doctors to have a new modality to treat their patients in combination with everything else that's out there.
That's wonderful because, that was going to be one of my other questions in terms of we hear about, would it be used as a monotherapy or in combination with other therapies? And I think, if both.
It can be used, I think we could talk even about schizophrenia. There you have positive, negative symptoms and cognitive symptoms. And here we are for the first time providing a therapy that's tackling the cognitive, and we hope to make an impact on the positive and negative as well. And again, these are a lot of opportunities for doctors. Again, doctors are truly taking care of the patients. And for us, the patients are the heroes. We really want to make sure we leave no patient behind. We're very patient-centric, and we want to make sure we provide access to as many patients as possible with the assistance of physicians at multiple institutions and also globally. I think you know that we actually started all of the trials for SPG 302 in Australia. So it's really wonderful to be able to collaborate internationally because, again, an Alzheimer's patient in the US is no different than an Alzheimer's patient in Australia. Everyone has a loved one. Having been the daughter of someone who's held the hand of parents who have battled very challenging, diseases, I get that. We fight, all of us. We actually wear those emotions as we kind of build every day and work tirelessly. So how can we do something? How can we move even faster? Ask my team; they want to kill me half the time. But we've come a really long way this year, and I'm beyond excited and proud to be able to lead this front. And I am just the messenger here.
I think it's under your leadership that the company has come this far. So that's really a testament to the passion that you bring and really to that patient voice that I can feel that you really are passionate about incorporating. And so like we hear about patient centricity, and I talk to a lot of other people, and it's like, but what does that really mean? And how do you really implement that? Is that just, for some, it might just be a box to check off, just like DEI or something like that. But really, I feel like the people and the companies and the places that really incorporate that really shines and really shows. And I think really at Spinogenix, the fact that you started this interview by sharing such a personal story. I think that really sets the stage and the tone for what Spinogenix is really about. So thank you so much for sharing all of those insights. And in terms of that patient voice and patient centricity, how does that inform really when you're looking at drug discovery through to planning, clinical trial planning and strategy? So how does that patient voice get incorporated at the different stages in development?
Uh, well, as I mentioned, it's for us is it's that patient voice is there from day one. Is the unmet need. Like ultimately, why are we choosing these conditions? It's about the patient. It's about where can we make the impact, and how are we convinced that that impact will make a difference in the life. Um, and so that's come in, and also for us, I would say how it's this has been managed is the fact that again we have, as we do the clinical trials in Australia, those phase 2As, we have pushed and talked to the agency and had some compassionate use cases in the U.S. and now most recently, this kind of this larger 200 patient compassionate use for giving access to. So it's all about the patients that lead us to kind of move forward with these actions. A lot of other companies or others may wait and wait until they get onto the market to do this, but we are doing this. We look at any opportunity. If there is a grant funding mechanism that will allow us to move forward in a clinical indication, I will do what I can if it's an unmet need to get the resources and the team to move it forward. Because as I mentioned, the synaptic biology is different in these diseases. So it's really important beyond also getting to the patients and treating them and helping them improve and giving them the ability hopefully to for that Alzheimer's patient to be able to in essence get their life back, to remember things, to be able to read, do hobbies and all that. Our ultimate goal is to be able to expand this and treat as many people as we can, and make an impact. It's all about the impact, and the patients are the voice for us that allow us to move forward and also give us the drive to continue, because it's not, again, drug development and doing what we do is not easy. It's truly a marathon. There's always challenges, multiple challenges, I wish I could say within the last, I started this company in 2016, almost 10 years ago. I wish I could say that there was an easy time or an easy period, right? But I could tell you right now, this is our dream because we have the patients, we are dosing patients, we have results that will be reading out, at the end of this year and some that we've already started announcing for our Fragile X program. And that is truly what, it ignites me. That's very catalytic for us to continue with our momentum and to continue to try to get more collaborators to help us kind of build on this, because now we have so much meat on the bones and it's super exciting for us.
That's so wonderful. And as you mentioned, with starting and driving a company forward, there come a lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunities as well. So the flip side to the challenges are opportunities. And so what are some of those challenges, opportunities, windows that really have that you've been navigating at Spinogenix? And if we talk about whether that's on the scientific end or on the regulatory end, upcoming challenges that you're planning for. So, and given the landscape, the ever-evolving landscape of both the science and on the regulatory end and things of that nature. So what kinds of things have you encountered and are you anticipating to encounter as you move forward?
Well, the opportunities I would say that have been most rewarding is actually working with all these key opinion leaders for these various diseases. I've learned so much, and it's wonderful to sit down as one of the inventors of the drug, understands like the compound, and and actually go to the clinician and these experts and say, okay, how can this best help with your patients and your management of clinical care? And really having that conversation That unifying voice together, working on all levels, is critically important, and that actually ties in 100% with regulatory and working globally regulatory, because every one of these countries and there's just different rules that you have to follow, and learning that. So I would say in many ways the challenges and opportunities have gone hand in hand. Even preclinically working, having had the privilege to work with USC, Mayo, um, uh, and a lot of different institutions, as it's an it's been a wonderful journey, and I think what are we looking to do next is continue to collaborate with all the various hospitals, right? And learning the challenges in getting things set up so that we can actually be able to get to the patients and deliver this to the patient.
Indeed. And in terms of, I'd like to go back to your journey as founder and CEO. How do you balance the demands of scientific innovation in terms of raising capital? You've had such an extensive, illustrious career spanning so many different areas, from venture capital to drug development, the science. And so how do you balance the demands of all of those aspects and to really grow and drive the company forward?
That's a great question.
It just comes natural to you. You don't even think about it. You don't even have to think about it.
You just get it done. I mean, when we needed, I would say it was invaluable that I started my career in big pharma at Merck at the bench, because I learned so much. I was in process chemistry, which is responsible for scaling up for clinical trials. I I I I knew the challenges. I understood how important manufacturing is, scaling up, and we've done. Obviously, we get an A+ in that as an early stage company right now. And also again with fundraising, how do you fundraise? And having been on the venture side, it's all about uh, getting to the next value inflection point. What is really all the skill sets that I use in evaluating companies? I use that on my own companies, and just figuring out, okay, what's the next big question? What's the next big thing that we need to understand in order to get to the ultimate goal, which is to try to help patients, and also we also need to educate the doctors. Again, you remember, this is new. So even though the biology is out there, this is new. Biology is that's scientific papers. Now you're going into clinicians, and they're so busy treating patients. Now we have to actually go on the clinical aspect and say, okay, oh, you have regenerative synapses. Wait, aren't you going to have seizures? What do you mean? What? I mean, we have all these questions and inherently we have to educate. Well, here's our safety. We've done this. This is the understanding. This is how it's working. And so that entire kind of knowing, I guess, when to wear which hat in order to get us to the next step, I just get it done. But I would say, what positions us and has positioned us to do so much in a very short period of time has been because of those previous experiences, and also appreciating how important our team is. Like, this is, as I mentioned, I am the messenger and the leader, but if it wasn't from my team that is beside me and helping us on a day-to-day basis, we would not be here. Everyone on the team has a different background, different experience, and it's us working together and also hearing each other, because everyone has a different idea, and then working towards that goal. That's our competitive advantage, and really what is allowing us to kind of prevail right now in with all the changes that keeps on happening in the world.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely about having the right team and connecting with the right people for sure. And then everything else falls into place. And I'm so glad that that's happened at Spinogenix, and the team is lucky to have someone like you to lead the way and to light the torch. So it's absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much again for sharing all of those stories and advice and all of the expertise that you bring to the table to really for having formed and driving this venture forward. And so in terms of, if we talk about the science and innovation in neurology in general in the field, since you've had a long career in this space, what do you see as some of the biggest opportunities, or I hate to say the word trends, quote unquote, but what are the kinds of things that you're most excited about coming up in the next couple of years? We've seen the field go forward, I think, immensely in the past decade or so, with the approval of therapies for Alzheimer's and things like that. Setbacks along the way and things like that aside, but I just think that there's been so much in the field that has happened in the last several years. Where do you see things today, and where do you see things going in the next couple of years and decade?
Well, I'm very thrilled that we are making, I would say, baby steps in getting drugs onto the market in neurology. As I mentioned, I think neurology is what oncology was decades ago. And so having, the more we get drugs onto the market, first of all, it goes back to what I said, we're helping the patients, and hope is one of the most important things there is. But also that actually ignites investments in further innovation, right? So when there's that goes just the reality of what happened. So now there's more and more investments happening in neurodegenerative diseases. And so I think that is what I'm very excited about, because that will allow for other companies, more kind of companies like Spinogenix, to come in with out of the box ideas, build it out, and then hopefully, we'll have more options for the patients at the end of the day. So innovation is happening gratefully, because I think we understand some of the diseases. We're getting some more biomarkers out there. There's a lot more work being done. And with that, it's just, I'm very hopeful that we'll be able to, as I mentioned, cocktail therapy, precision medicine. These are the trends that you hear about, but you hear about biomarkers way more now. And it's the biomarkers that allow us to know whether the drug is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and allowing, again, regulatory authorities to understanding that. So the more and more we can collaborate, combination therapy, that's super exciting. And we're very excited to see, kind of even by next year, what else is approved, in these various indications.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the regulatory landscape has really changed, especially since COVID, when we saw the accelerated approvals for vaccines happening. And it really, I think, set the landscape for, well, this is possible. And so I think really a lot of companies and a lot of players were able to take that example, and even the regulators, to say, okay, we can, speed things up in a way that's meaningful, and to get things to market and to patients in a more timely manner. So I think, yeah, the ever-evolving landscape on the regulatory end, paired with the innovations on the scientific end, just makes things so exciting, and always on the lookout for what's next in this space. And in terms of, as a biotech founder of not just one, but a couple of companies, what advice do you have for burgeoning or aspiring entrepreneurs who would like to get into the biotech space today? It's a loaded question, I think.
If you had, I've already said it, I never thought that I'd be, the founder and CEO of multiple companies. But I would say, you just have to get started. Don't overthink it, because it's it's advice is just go with your, ultimately, if you don't have the right incentive, you're not going to make it. So if you're going to really take the time away from other opportunities, make sure you take your time and find something that resonates with you, and then you just organically move forward with that. Because that, I think that it, again, especially in biotech, it's challenging. So the only way you're going to make it through all those other times where it, it's you didn't get what you want, it's going to really rely on, at the end of the day, what drives you. So and also just collaborations, ask questions. And I can't tell you, even earlier in my career, when I was in grad school and thinking about some other things I wanted to do, I just picked up the phone and called people. And a lot of people that are, if there's someone doing what you really want to do, if you just reach out and ask for advice, a lot of people love to pay it forward. So it's they ask the questions, make sure you kind of you do more diligence, and you're not attracted to something for for other reasons, shadow, just figure it out. And yeah, that's what I would say. Sorry, I kind of rambled there, but
No, that was amazing. I was just like, because I think that's just so universally applicable as well to any field, really, to as they say, be a sponge and just be so open to learning. And I really like the advice about just reaching out to people, because I think I've done that too. I've been learning to do that more so, and it really is amazing. Like, the worst people can say is no, but the best is where you can get so many learning opportunities and mentorship. So that is really, really fantastic advice, to just not be hesitant or afraid to reach out to the people that you admire and you may want to follow in their footsteps or just want to learn from. That's really awesome advice, I think. And so in terms of some upcoming milestones, I know, Dr. Sarraf, you mentioned a couple of things in terms of what in the pipeline for Spinogenix in terms of milestones, readouts, and a lot of exciting things this year. So what are you looking most forward to in terms of the milestones, and what can we look out for in the next in this year and then in the next couple of years as well?
Yeah, no, we're very excited. All our programs are again in phase 2A studies, if you will, and they're all. We have already announced that the ALS study is completed enrollment. We anticipate to be sharing some results hopefully by the end of this year. Our Alzheimer's has completed enrollment, and we will be looking forward to sharing results by the end of a lot of these programs. It's really by the end of this year. There should be some top line results. With the Fragile X program, we have already announced some top line results, and we anticipate sharing more. So third quarter, fourth quarter. And with the schizophrenia, we're super excited because we got our IND cleared and now are actually enrolling in the United States, both in Australia and the US. And so that I feel that's going to really accelerate the timeline. And again, by the end of this year, we should start getting some data. And then, of course, as you know, it takes some time to then start announcing it. But this is it's summertime. I can't wait until, let's just say, beginning of 2026. I think that's going to be super super exciting. I hate use the word exciting, but I think you can tell I'm excited.
Yes. The ball is definitely rolling at Spinogenix, and I think excitement is the best way to really encompass everything that's happening. You have to be excited about it, and I think just speaking to you and being able to share in that excitement and share that with our audiences here as well is fantastic. And Dr. Sarraf, thank you so much for your time, your insights, and for sharing all of the wonderful work that you're leading at Spinogenix. Truly, you're a trailblazer, innovator, and we're so happy to have been able to speak with you today. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much for the invitation to be present today. Really appreciate it, Ayesha.
Thank you likewise. That's the end of this episode of the Xtalks Life Science Podcast. If you liked today's show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.
To join the Xtalks community, visit xtalks.com and register for exclusive access to curated content like live webinars, news articles, and educational videos. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the speakers sharing them and should not be taken as professional advice, nor do they necessarily reflect the policy or position of Honeycomb Worldwide. For further information, email us at podcast@xtalks.com.